Welcome back in, y'all. Today is all about Bachelor Nation, and we are discussing week 4 of Grant's journey to find love. We are Black Girls Talking TV, where we take the group chat to life and discuss all of your favorite TV shows. I am Victoria. I am a psychologist out of New York.
I am Kamaria. I am a lawyer in the DC area and a pop culture writer.
Alrighty, so let's get into it. First, I just want to touch on very quickly this intro conversation that Grant was having with Jesse. I was just like rolling my eyes through it, okay? Because Jesse was trying to point out, like, this is the week that things get serious. He's narrowing down options, and slow burns might become fire launchers and X, Y, and Z. And I'm just sitting here like, Grant been telling all of these women they would make good mothers, good wives. He can see a future with them. So I'm like, when did it get unserious?
I know, right? I'm
It's
like,
like,
I missed that. I didn't
yeah,
even see that. I didn't pay attention to it. I don't know how I missed that, but yeah.
like, what is this little fake commentary mentoring thing we got going on here? I'm like, Jesse, this man out here kissing on everybody, talking to everybody, like, please stop.
Yeah, I know. And like my question watching the episode is a new watcher. I was like, who is he? I know you say he's the host, but
Yeah.
like, is he like a past bachelor? Like
I have
what
no
who is
idea
he?
who he is. I used to watch it, like I said, like a long, long time ago, and they rebranded, and this is the guy that
Mm,
came with the rebrand.
okay.
I don't know who Jesse is. I
I'm
forgot
like,
I was watching at that time.
I do notice that he gives Grant the out at the end. He'd be like, Parisa, whoever. Like he says, you have not selected or received a rose. Like he's the person that delivers
Yeah,
the bad news, and it's
yeah,
like it gives Grant he doesn't have to say it.
right, right. He
But
doesn't have to
it's
say you
like,
gotta go
yeah,
home.
I never pay attention to him. But
Yeah, yeah. Alrighty, so let's just move into the drama. It's still Carolina, and her mess.
hmm
First, I just want to say I do not like how Carolina, you went back to Grant to talk about what Rose said. Meanwhile, you came back and was just talking hot cash shit about your date and how you was having reservations and you were on pause about things and
really.
stuff. Cause that was how this whole thing came about.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I saw that. I'm not a fan of Carolina, but I thought the women were being a little too harsh on her. I didn't think it was that bad what she said.
so it's not that bad, but I think the nature of this show is if you decided to be here, you're all
Mhm.
into this idea of being with Grant. And so
Mhm.
there shouldn't be any like reservations or like conversations about like you being not so sure about whether or not you can get there, right? Like the
Mhm.
idea is that you get there if you are chosen by you
Mhm.
signing up for this cast. Now, in a real world setting, yeah, in a couple of weeks, you don't know, you know what I'm saying, all the
Mhm.
times if you can get there. You're not spending that much time with the man, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it makes sense that you would have those questions. But you signed up for this show with the idea that you would marry the person
At the
who
end
is
of
the
it.
bachelor, right?
But I guess I still felt for Carolina. I mean, I'm not a fan of her, but in that moment, I felt like, I think it's okay. Like this is a quick process. Like for her to have pause, I felt like they were sort of like what Zoe was saying that people were doing to her. I feel like they were like coming at her a little strong and in a way that was just I don't feel like it was justified to
Yeah.
me. To me. So I'm looking at it like, yeah, she should be able to have doubts. He's got doubts. He doesn't know which one of y'all he wants, but I didn't feel like it was that bad. But I know this. I was like, I ain't a fan of Carolina. But Juliana was not ready for it. She was not
I'm sorry,
ready.
what's the question?
Right.
Maybe 8. 8 with
Juliana wasn't ready. She wasn't ready. She walked up in there, thought she was about to do something, and like Carolina shut her all the way down. Like it wasn't even a game. Like I was like, yeah, this is why you don't bring it when you don't have it. And then also I felt like I agree with Carolina and all of that. I was just like, this is your opinion, but it's like who cares? Like she don't agree or she feels like justified in her view about it. I guess they feel like it does affect them because they are part of this process. but it really doesn't. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like at the end of the day, and maybe they felt like they were trying to be better about coming to her about it versus going like she did going to Grant
Right.
about Rose or whatever. But I do feel like if you felt a little concerned about it, I think it's something you could have brought up with Grant, and just saying like I have concerns about it, and but I guess it would have come across a little stank to for them to talk with Grant about it. But they
Yeah.
ended up talking about it with him anyway, so
Well, after he pulled Juliana to the
yeah,
side
I was
to ask
like,
about it because Carolina was over there crying. Uh, but yeah, I think just because of the purpose of the show,
mhm,
right? Like, and I think that Carolina was justified for feeling how she feels, like anybody would. I just think if you decide to go on a show like this, you are well aware of the timeline and like how
mhm.
things work, and they don't necessarily get married right after the engagement. Like, you get to
Mhm.
be engaged and you decide whenever you get married whenever you want to. There's no, like, time
Oh,
frame for them, like, "Let us
okay.
go." And so with that being said, it's like this is kinda just choosing who he could see himself with the most.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so if you have these reservations, although you are still exploring things with Grant, it's kind of like I I don't think she should have brought it up to the other girls, especially to girls who have not had a one-on-one date. I think that's where it gets sticky, right?
Yeah.
Like you had the opportunity to like go on this date. You got flued out on the jet to to Vicky's job, might I add.
You did
Uh,
say that you heard that.
yeah.
Where'd you hear that from?
So Vicky had made a TikTok, if y'all didn't know, for the
Oh,
viewers.
Vicky made a
Vicky
TikTok,
head
so
over to
Vicky
Vicky's TikTok, and she
oh,
basically, like, she panned over while she was at work to show the scene where they were sitting at the pool for their one-on-one. That is where Vicky works. So they flew
what?
out to Vegas on this private jet to have a little romantic date at one of the other contestants that you just let
Yeah, they
go.
was trying to set up the drama.
Messy, just
They
messy,
tried to set up
messy.
drama. And I feel like it was something you can say like, "Hey, like, we haven't had any time period,
Right.
much, one-on-one time with him. Could you please, kinda keep your thoughts around that to a minimum?" Because I do think it just speaks to how she is. That's why I'm saying,
Yeah,
like, I'm not a Carolina fan, but I also felt like this is who she is a little bit. She's this person who she's a little bit more concerned about herself, but at the same time, pulling her aside, it just didn't seem like she was gonna be someone who was receptive to that, and it
yeah,
also seemed like Juliana pulled her aside to check her, not to say, "Hey, this is coming across in this way, and I just kinda wanted to let you know that so that you can be aware of what the group," even though she said some of those things in her conversation with her, she still came off as a, like, "Look, I'm
yeah,
trying to check you,
yeah.
and, you
I
know,
wouldn't be here if I had those questions.
yeah, and you're kind of wrong, and you need to acknowledge that, and it's just like Juliana I mean, not Juliana, Carolina just, was just like, and, "Do you
I
have a
was
question?"
cracking up at
"Do
that.
you have a question?"
I
That
thought
thing
it
did not
was
even
gonna
have
be
your
more of a spicier conversation because, in the last episode when Juliana was like, "Let's just call a spade a spade." We know it's Zoe who went and told Grant in front of everybody, so I was like, "Ooh,
true.
this is gonna be
That's
like the battle
no,
of, like, strong women." I was ready for it. I
no,
said, "Girl, did you just fold?"
no, yeah, Juliana wasn't ready for that. Juliana was not ready. She was not ready, but
Yeah,
and I also just felt like it's not your place. I just feel
yeah.
like it wasn't her place. Like she could have left that alone. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
personally,
yeah.
but
And I didn't feel bad for Rose because I didn't feel like she really had a chance with Grant. I
well,
did feel bad in terms of, like, how it seemingly, like, really affected
mhm,
her confidence and, like, her self-esteem in the process.
mhm,
Yeah, so her deciding to go home, I was a little like, I don't know if it was that serious. It seemed like Grant was open to, continuing to get to know you, but at the same time, I was like, maybe she wouldn't have ended up with a Rose. I don't see him picking Rose over any of the girls that he did decide to choose. So I think her deciding to leave, I was like, "Okay, that's probably the best decision here." And he
Yeah.
willingly was like, "Go ahead, girl." He didn't fight for it or nothing, so
Yeah, and maybe that was part of her, like, why she was sure that she was like, "Let me go," because, like, had he been like, "No, I want you to stay," like, I think she would've stayed,
yeah,
personally.
yeah,
But yeah, the only person I thought, like, before so switching over to Seraphina's date, Seraphina would probably be the only person I would have thought that maybe Rose could have gotten a rose ahead of, because I
yeah,
hadn't seen the connection between them. But I thought their day was cute, and they had like a little at the end when it was like, they was kissing. There was some like movement. I was like,
yeah.
what is happening?
I
What is
thought this is
this kiss?
creepy, baby. I said, "Wait a minute." Seraphina done popped out. I was cracking up so hard when she was like, "I promise you it's not that." I just know my mom was watching because I was like,
Yeah,
"Please,
no,
girl," like, that it will be hard, right? Like, when you
yeah,
come from a family where it's about, like, you respect, because I know I be watching
decorum.
some of these shows and I be like, "I would never want my mama or my daddy to see any of
See,
this,"
yeah,
okay?
hmm
Like, I would just have the utmost respect. So I definitely understood where she was coming from when
yeah,
she said that, and I feel like that alone made Grant really like her because it was like you come from respectful
yeah,
beginnings,
yeah, yeah.
you're having a single mother. I think Grant really resonated with that as well. So, but yeah, that little kiss at the end, I said,
I know
"Oh my
I jumped ahead.
god!" Yeah, I
Go
was
ahead.
like,
So sorry.
"Go ahead, what you say?"
No, I missed what you said.
Oh, I said at the end when they were kissing, I said, "Oh, mama's out the window, honey." Like,
Oh,
she was
no, for real. Because she was like, I was like, there was body rolls going on in the kiss. I was like, oh my God, they're like
yeah,
kissing, kissing. And so that was the first kiss that I was actually like, okay, okay.
yeah,
Like, cause I don't be liking to watch these kisses. These kids, like, even some of their kisses, like the bungee jump kiss. And let's speak about the bungee jump. Cause I was just like, how did, like, if I wouldn't have gone on it, I'm like, how do these people get convinced to do these things? Because I just wouldn't have been in there. Like it literally would have been like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Like even if he was just like, I just wouldn't have done it. I would have been like, I gotta go. I gotta go. I know signed the contract, but I'm sorry. Nice to meet you, sir. But I would have gone. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Even
It's an
like,
adrenaline junkie because 'cause I'm like, he keep jumping off of stuff.
right, right. Because I was like, that was a lot. Like that's a lot. Like it's nothing they could have said to me to have me jump off that bridge.
Yeah, I
Nothing.
was
Like,
wondering, I was like, is this Grant choosing the activities he wants to do, or is
mhm.
it the
Or the
producers,
producers.
like,
Probably the
lining
producers, because he seemed scared too.
Yeah, yeah,
At first,
yeah.
I thought it was him, but then I was like, "Oh, he seems scared too," so maybe it's the producers. But yeah, child, like, I was like,
Maybe
"Good, big
they
ups
think
to
if they do
Seraphina."
these super extravagant things, it'll help with their bond and connection. Because like, how do
Maybe.
you not, like, have to build trust to jump off a building with somebody?
Trust in what, though? Trust in
I
the rope?
I just
Like,
yeah, I don't
I was
know.
like,
Maybe just doing something like that together. You're like, "Oh my
together.
god, we jumped off a building together," like
Yeah, I think it's like maybe the adrenaline because I thought about like when he was like, "Give me a kiss afterwards," whatever. I was like, okay, like I could see there being all this adrenaline, and then you have this rush, and then you're together, and it's like I could see that being something that could bond you a little bit. I could, but I don't know. I'm like, there's nothing they could have said. They could be like, he's about to propose, like Trevor asked off of what is that? Will you, Hillary? Will you marry me? Like he could have been about to propose to me, and I would not. I would like, you gonna have to tell me on the solid
before
ground
when I
because
walk down these steps.
I'm not about to get on that thing. Like so, big ups to her for
Yeah.
like doing it. She didn't seem scared either.
Yeah, she did it. I be thinking too much because I know I was thinking, like, I know their blood is rushing to their head and they just
Right.
dangling and going and kissing. I'm
I
like,
know.
I would be like, if you don't get me on the ground now,
Right.
my head
Right.
back
Yeah.
upright. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
But it was cute.
it
It
was.
was
It was
cute.
very cute. Shout out to Saraphina, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Saraphina, yeah, yeah. And I'm glad she got her the one-on-one time, and I started to see some more chemistry between them. But I can't tell for real, like what I can't really tell. I need to figure out more insight from Grant about like what he is looking for outside of like mom and like somebody who's gonna be a good mom and good partner. I'm wondering if he has, some guys have a thing about having a very classy lady or having a woman who just feels like she knows how to act, and that's a real big thing for them. And I'm like, if that's a thing for him, Seraphina's, I can see that being like a draw that could push her ahead of some other people, because she seems very normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, she seems normal. So you know, I don't know if I fully see their connection still, but I did begin to see it more than I did, because they didn't show us
yeah,
anything. And so now seeing it, but he even acknowledged that he didn't get to he chose her because he didn't feel like he had gotten to know her well, or something like that, he
yeah,
said,
yeah, yeah, she was kinda, like, in the
before the
back of
date.
the pack, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But they gave me very regular couple vibes.
Yes, and
Like,
they were cute
they
together.
yeah, yeah.
I think, like, aesthetically, they would be a cute couple.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okie dokie. So, are we on to the group date?
Mhm.
I can't who I was on that group date? Natalie, Parisa, Zoe,
The boys.
Rose,
Mhm.
yeah, Juliana, and Alex, right? And
Mhm.
Latia. Dang near
Mhm.
everybody. Yeah, everybody was on the group
Yeah.
date except for Dena and Saraphina. Um, so let's start at the top. So Zoe won the date, right? Like the
Mhm.
bull riding contest. How do we feel about her taking the same technique as Alex?
I didn't feel no type of way about it. I thought it was
Me
smart.
either. I did
Yeah,
too. I said, if you know it works, why try something different?
yeah, yeah. But she gave me, like, Zoe gave me that she was gonna do well either way.
Yeah,
But yeah, but her and Alex, you know, wish they could have both gotten, you know, the VIP of the date, but you
yeah.
know,
I was happy to see that Zoe talked about her struggles in childhood. Of course, you
yeah.
could tell it was, like, edited a little bit, but I was like, "Yeah, finally, like,
Mhm.
can we actually get to know these people instead of the whole, 'I can really see you as a wife,' and I don't know."
Yeah.
Some of the conversations are just too surface for me at this point, but,
Mhm.
um yeah, I thought that was a good conversation to have, and again, like, just going back to, like, you can tell, like, it really hurt her, and as somebody who grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, I know for me, like, I grew up pretty secure because, like, my parents, like, they always instilled in me, "You are that girl," and they
Mhm.
let me do everything that I wanted to try. There was no real holding back, so I feel like I gained a confidence in that way at a very young age,
Mhm.
um, but I know sometimes I think back, like, if I were to really be concerned with dating or boys having crushes on me, I probably would have felt very insecure, but it just wasn't a thing for me because
Mhm.
I was, pretty well liked, like, I had a good personality, I was loud,
Mhm.
all those things, like, not in, like, the negative loud connotation, but,
Mhm.
like, I had a pretty bold personality, I've always had
Mhm.
that, so I can see if somebody's a little more reserved, right, and you're
Mhm.
in that environment and you notice everybody is noticing everybody but you,
Mhm.
how that could feel. Because sometimes I do look back on my childhood and I'm like, "Yeah, I wasn't asked to any,
Mhm.
proms or anything like that just wasn't for me," but I just wasn't, too concerned with
Concerned
it.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you
yeah,
never know, like, what you said about your family also could play a big role in it, because I think that it's very important. Like, even when we were talking in the Harlem recaps about Angie's family or whatever, and just how that this experience of having Black families really support, you know, their daughters, and mothers, you know, really giving life to their daughters, like,
right.
that matters. Like, how you are, what your home environment is like, if it's affirming you, if it's making you feel seen, it matters. Because, like, I would say the same. Like, I didn't have, like, I mean, well, not the same. Like, I had, up until about middle school, high school, I had a mixed sort of environment that were mixed, you know, a bunch of different races. But high school onward was mostly like Black environments. And but prior to that, it's just like I didn't think any type of way about it as much, because my family would tell me, and reaffirm me and reassure me. So I wonder what happened in her home life,
Yeah.
and if they even understood, not saying they were bad parents, but just if they understood the necessary reinsurance that she would need. And
Yeah.
this is not just like when you're raising a Black daughter, when the world is telling her she needs to look a certain way, that you have to reassure her. You really do have
Mhm.
to build it up in her to recognize that you know this is just certain things are just ignorance, and you don't need to wait until it happens. You need to have her prepared and knowing,
Right.
beforehand, like how that she's wonderful, beautiful, and certain things are might happen. So, I know we talked last episode. You were talking about Zoe and having empathy for her, and I was like, I don't know, but and I made the joke about her coming in our comments, and then she did. She did pop in our
Yeah,
comments on
Zoe,
TikTok. Hey,
bro.
Zoe.
We don't
Um,
see you, girl.
right. But it does make me think about like I never feel like, oh, I'm going to like trash this girl or anything like that. But I feel like she started the show off very much like I'm gonna be the villain. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be the I don't care, I'm not here to make friends vibe. And so it seemed like that's what she was leaning into. Now we are seeing a little bit of different side of her. She hasn't been the center of the drama lately because it's been Carolina's ass.
Yeah, she's
But
also been supportive too. Like you see her,
yeah.
like she was helping, hugging. What was it, Rose, when she was about to
Oh yeah,
leave.
yeah, yeah.
And,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
I'm like, I ain't gotta have any too much harsh words for Zoe. I do recognize everybody has a past or whatever. But at the same time,
yeah. It
we'll
was.
see
I
how
feel
it
like
goes the rest of the season.
it's unfortunate, right? Like because, like me, I was coming from a place like she deserves some empathy because something was happening. Like even if like we were over analyzing the
Mhm,
situation,
mhm,
it's still just like why did she have to be edited that way? And it goes back to when I was like, how did she know during the basketball day that there was a rooftop? You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you, I don't know where she's from. I think she said she was from Virginia, and they film in LA. So I was
mhm.
like, how did she know to get up here and like to interrupt the day and to go to the
The
rooftop
rooftop,
unless the
yeah. Questions
producers
that need answers.
yeah, unless the producers told her. So I'm like, she got the villain edit, but like she also probably was told like, hey, go ahead and do this and to add, some spice to the dates. And since she already is looked at as someone who doesn't mind interrupting, maybe they
Mhm.
just gave her that role. I don't know. But I just feel
Yeah,
like
I'm not.
that had a lot to do with it. But when she
Mhm,
said, "I never felt worthy of, friendships, let alone a boyfriend," uh,
mhm.
I was like, "Dang," like, that's a real feeling, the feeling of worthy, insert whatever after it, right? It's underrated, the importance of it. So, I was like, yeah, I was happy that they highlighted that conversation, she got to have that very
Yeah.
candid and vulnerable moment. Uh,
Yeah, no, I think that was good for sure, for sure. Moving on to Dina's solo one-on-one date with Grant. What do you feel about their chemistry? Do you think they have it?
I thought it was boring.
Oh, really?
I thought it was boring.
I don't even
I
remember it though,
mean,
for
I
real.
think if anything, the only thing that really came from it was, I think because Dina is a serious person,
Mhm.
that the producers had the opportunity to like zero in on them having more serious conversations.
Conversations,
Right?
yeah.
Like, her being able to say, like, "Well, you shouldn't just be a giver," right? Like, I feel like a lot of the other women probably would have been like, "Oh, that's so sweet, that's so kind," and she's like, "Well, no, because that's because Dina probably as a person is not like that, right? Like, she's not about to
Mhm,
give, and it's not reciprocal." And
mhm.
so I think because she is a more serious and reassured, confident woman, I think she was able to bring that out in conversations like the other women have not. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I also felt like she's a career woman. Like she's not um a barefoot and pregnant type of woman. And so I think that she was expressing sort of this or trying to establish this respect for someone else actually pitching in to the load of the couplehood, the family, the relationship, whatever, like someone else pitching in. And because I don't think she plans on giving up that part, I don't
Right.
think she's about to be like, I'm gonna, yes, be here. I think she wants her career. She may scale back a little bit, maybe, but I think she wanted to kind of put that in his ears for it to be established, for him to really respect that this is what's going to be happening. I'm going to be contributing, and that makes sense, right? Like it almost gave me that sort of vibe, like trying to get him on board with this idea of like, you don't have to be the one doing all of it, because if you're with me, you can't be the one doing all of it, because I'm going
Yeah.
to be working. I'm going to be doing, my own thing. I
Right.
am going to be contributing. So I wonder if it was more about making space for herself and who she's going to be, outside of maybe this image of what it may seem like he wants as a wife,
Yeah,
I don't
I'm sure it is, and I'm not even 100% sure if that is necessarily what Grant wants for a wife, or if he just saw his mother struggle so much
know.
and his dad not pick up the slack, that he is like in this
Mm,
all or
I agree.
nothing frame of mind when it comes to
Mhm.
what does it mean to be
A
a good
husband.
husband
Yeah.
and a good father. And I think
Mhm.
for him, he's like, well, I just want to be able to just, take care of all of it so my
Mhm.
woman can relax and not work as hard like my mother had to, not under not and I'm not saying that he doesn't understand, but just
Mhm.
not keeping in mind that there are women who are serious about their careers, who want to be able
Yeah.
to work and want to be able to balance life and professionalism in that way.
Mhm.
And it can still result in a healthy dynamic. I think he's
Yeah. Yeah.
if it looks like that, like, I don't ever want my wife to feel like she can't have it, so I'm a
Yeah.
giver. I'm gonna give, give, give,
Yeah.
give,
I
and I
agree.
think that might be where that's coming from for him.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree.
So, yeah, so the ceremony night, Carolina again was front and center, for the drama for the ceremony night. He immediately pulled Juliana to the side. I was like, "Well, at least this time he's asking questions." Uh,
Mhm. And I'm also like, he must have, because we didn't know that Carolina had said Juliana's name.
yeah,
We
we
didn't
didn't see
realize
that.
that, and that was when it was like, "Okay, this girl out here talking, talking, talking."
Right.
But I was like, "Grant, whoever has his ear last, that's who he believes."
Right, literally, literally,
Because she
literally.
came over there, and then he was just like, "Now I'm concerned. I'm
Yeah,
concerned."
yeah. I just feel like, do you want I would just look at this situation, like, even if I really liked Carolina, the fact that she's always in some drama, to me, would be a red flag, right? Like,
Absolutely.
whether or not you feeling her, at the end of the day, her name has now circulated around multiple women, multiple situations across multiple days, right? And it's bleeding into these moments that you're supposed to also be having with your other connections.
Yeah.
And so at some point, it's like, do you just let it go because you like other women? Like, do you think at this point, like, Carolina is at the top of the pack? Because
I
I'm
think she
confused.
is.
And I'm sitting here like, at this point, if I was in the fight, I'd be like, you know what, you can have it, you can have it because you don't have enough discernment for me. Okay,
Right.
period. Because
And I
she would have to go.
Yeah, and I was wondering just now, I was like, toying on whether I should say it or not, but I'm like, I feel like if I was him, I would maybe ask other women about their thoughts around the women in there. Like, if there
Yeah,
are do you have any concern? I wouldn't ask it in a drama sort of way, but it's like, if you trust these women, maybe you don't trust all of them, but if you trust them and you say, "Hey, do you have any concerns about any of the other women here, or any thoughts? Are there any women that you?" Because I guess you're not going to get an honest answer if you say any woman you love, but maybe you will get an honest answer. I would
yeah,
ask both questions. I would say, "Are there any women that you have concerns about that are here?" Um, just in terms of your vantage point. I'm asking this to everyone, and so I just would ask for honest answers, but nothing. I'm not asking for you to throw somebody under the bus, but I just want to get your feedback. Is there anything that you stands out? And if there's nothing, because maybe everybody's there like, yeah, there's nothing. There's little stuff that maybe personality stuff, but there's nothing that rises to the level. Like maybe somebody's opinion is that. Like Dina seemed to she stood up for Carolina in that sort of exchange with her, and she was like,
Yeah.
"I see you." So maybe Dina would be someone who would say, like, "Yeah, I don't have anybody here that I feel like is overly negative enough for me to mention that." But I don't know. I was like, "Is that too catty, of a thing, or is that going to come across too catty?" But I feel like he needs to get some insight. These women know they know each other, and
Yeah, and they put
you don't.
on
They
when
know each
you're
other in a way
around.
that you don't.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I don't feel like it's, um, too catty. I mean,
Mm,
yeah, I feel like you're gonna end up with whoever you wanna end up with at the end of the
mhm,
day,
mhm.
but I do feel like, how you treat people is important. I know for me, I care about how you treat people,
Other people,
uh,
yeah.
especially when you're in your most, like, vulnerable and natural state, so I would wanna know,
Mhm.
like, who is in here causing drama, and I mean, of course, there's gonna be drama, but for you to now be in, like, 3 weeks of drama, and it looks like she's gonna also be in some more drama next week,
Yep.
it's kinda like yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and it looked like
I really was watching, like, if I was on the show right now, I would have to give an ultimatum, like, either it is,
mm.
Carolina or it's me this day. I would, because I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah, he probably be like, "I don't like ultimatums. It's
And I'm
Carolina."
like, "Well, then, we ain't meant to be."
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's real though, 'cause I agree with you that there is some level of, like, his discernment that it begins to cause him to question if you are one of the women, like, come on now. And that's why I said before, I'm like, I think I said in one of the previous episodes, it's like he's not identifying the drama and deleting those women. It's like
Right,
they should all be gone, they should all be gone. Even if it's like, you got the short end of the stick, well, yeah, I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
It's
So still
bye.
a lot of great women left, so it's not like you would, lose in
Yeah,
terms of
lose.
so, yeah, so like we discussed earlier, Rose, she left on her
Yeah.
own, and her whole speech she gave to Carolina, "You did me dirty, you
Mhm.
backstabbed me." I was like, "Well, at least she got her feelings off," but it really did, it just I was like, "Yeah, girl, you gotta go."
But I also felt her a little bit though, because I do
Yeah,
think I think she's right about it that Carolina did do her
absolutely.
a little dirty because it was like, yeah, like, but either way, it was just, I think it was good for Rose to go,
Yeah,
for her own, well being. Like she said, I
yeah.
think she said that verbatim almost.
Yeah,
So,
I think also too, even, like, the conversation that, Grant had with Rose where he was like, why would you say that?" Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that in that moment, I would have wanted to probably leave or not be chosen because
yeah.
now it's all I'm gonna be thinking about, right? Like, in
Mhm,
all of our interactions is that you were
mhm.
really upset with me about this, and, I mean, you took Carolina's side. I mean, she didn't lie and say, like, "No, I didn't say it," but it's how
Yeah.
she interpreted the
What he
statement
said.
or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I probably would've been like, "Yeah, it seemed like it's a wrap." Because how do you come back from that if you don't have a solo date afterwards? You're only on group dates, you're sharing time, you got, like, time to have a 15-20 minute conversation.
I have no clue.
So, yeah, but he let go, Parisa and Natalie, which I was cool with that because it didn't seem like I mean, let's say
Yeah, no,
for
Natalie, I was Natalie was just more of like, it seemed like there was promise in the beginning. I hadn't seen much of them one on one, so I was like, I guess maybe that's all it had was promise, and it didn't go anywhere. Parisa, dramatic ass. It's like, not her talking about you will get a daddy to my cat. My
yeah.
cat will have a daddy.
Side note,
Like,
I
you
had
kidding
saw
me?
a TikTok from her when she was on the plane, and she was like, "Run me over." I'm like, "Girl."
What? She's
It was,
too
like, sad
dramatic.
music in the background. It was like, I came from the mansion or da 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 to this, and, like, the shot to this was, like, a whole bunch of ramen noodles on the table.
Some of it is reading disingenuous. It's like, are you just trying to like have a moment, even if the moment's not a positive moment,
Yeah, yeah.
But either way, I was like, "Girl, go you this." I was like, "This is unreal. You are
Yeah,
unserious." Like,
literally.
not you talking about, like, "Did I talk about rocks too much?"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I was surprised that he gave her the rocks and then let her go. I was like, "You coulda kept them rocks that you found outside on the ground." But
I thought it was cute because wasn't she talking about the penguins or
yes,
somebody gives rocks for
yeah.
mate they choose them partner? And I was like, "That's really cute of
Yeah,
him."
it was
I
very
thought
thoughtful, but I was like, if you're gonna do so, you not I
Yeah.
will we are not seeing you do that with the other women. So if you were
Yeah.
planning to do something like that, she must have been like a front runner and on your mind. So how she ended
How
up
did
being
she fall to
let
the
go.
back? Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that. I don't know. That's why I want them to do exit interviews with the Bachelor. Like, I want to
Yeah,
know. He need to be telling us why you let this girl go because we just left to guess. Like, that would
right.
be a great part of the show. I feel like if he gave exit interviews, but
Yeah,
I don't know. He
yeah,
got to trash them, but he could just be like, I didn't really, I could see with Teresa, we would laugh and stuff like that, but we really weren't having any other substance. It was just fun times. Maybe that's
right.
what why it was. So who knows? But I feel left in the dark when they don't tell us. But
Yeah.
anywho.
All right. So who's our top? What's our top picks this week?
Well, so interestingly, I didn't see Latia on stuff a lot. However, they had a lot of confessionals or whatever with Latia. And I still think she's up there, but I didn't see her interact with Grant a lot. But they had a lot of confessionals with her still. And
Yeah.
in like with the Carolina
Yeah,
drama,
Kelly.
it it was there was so I felt like they have confessionals of her for a reason. So I still think she's up there. And every time I see them, even the clips for next week, like every time I see them, they
He's
give like,
enamored by her.
huh?
I said he's enamored by her.
Yeah, they give and they look like a couple that would make sense. They look like a cute couple. They look like a couple that would find each other and be together. Like it just feels like they make sense. So
Yeah.
she's still at my top for me. Um I'm trying to think. Alex is still up there, although she's also not getting as much of his time now. Zoe's up there for me in terms of him because he keeps picking her. Like I
Yeah.
think he is interested in Zoe in a way that I am surprised. I think Carolina's going home next week though.
Yes. Yes. Carolina and Dena. I would not be
You
surprised if
think
Dena
Dina?
left. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's somewhere between Juliana, Carolina, Dina, and Saraphina. I'm not sure if like we'll see with the Saraphina
Yeah.
because I'm just not sure. I need to hear Grant talk about her more because, like I said in another episode, like if a man is not feeling it, I do not feel like is
It
going
was
to
yeah.
yeah, so I need to understand and have confidence in the fact that he's feeling this.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that that date gave me that. It gave me more than I had before, but I'm not sure if it gave me that. So I wouldn't be surprised if any of the 4 of them went home. I for sure think Carolina's going home next week. If she
Yeah.
stays, I'd be so surprised.
Yeah. And sick. I'd be like,
Uh,
boy,
how many people go home next week, you think? Because I feel like
maybe
this
2.
this is like
Maybe
a
it'll be
small
in the top
bunch.
5.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense
I
too.
feel like maybe 5 and then down to 3 and then 2 and then 1.
Yeah, I could see I feel like Carolina's going home, but I could see Dina. I could see like I said,
Yeah.
I could see Juliana and I could see Seraphina. I don't think if
I could see
Zoe goes home, I'd be surprised, but huh?
yeah, no, Zoe, Alex, and Latia are definitely the top
Up
runners to me.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those I feel like out of whoever is last 2, it is between those 3.
I agree. So we'll have to see next week. And what, do we have any closing sort of thoughts on what's going to happen next week? One of the things that I know I wanted to touch on was like when Carolina and her drama unfolded. I was thinking to myself, this really is sort of like an unnatural sort of experience for the women. I think somebody pointed it out. I think it was either Latia or Dina. But it's an unnatural experience for these women to be around each other and be dating the same guy. And so I can understand all of their frustration with all of it because I don't think it's natural for us to be competing. And then I also just like the show's whole premise around like how they get to the end and like literally I guess the day before they propose that he's going to be tonguing down, whoever is his other pick, cuz flash forward to the previews, it does seem that he's like up in the air between
About
two
2 women.
women.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm like, how that's very difficult to like be I'm going into a proposal and I was literally tonguing down somebody yesterday. So
yeah.
as a whole, we'll see where we go, but I can understand like just how this experience is a little unnerving for everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is unnatural, right? Like, because I think if I can remember correctly, they have, hometown visits where he goes
Mhm.
to their home, and then I think they go to his hometown, and
Mm.
then they have, like, their one-on-one overnight, like, all day, like, 2-day type of date, and then it goes to the proposal. So I don't know how much time is,
Mm.
like, truly in between all of that, but it
Mhm.
does seem very intense, like, it's a
Mhm.
lot all in one. Um,
Mm.
they definitely should, like, reformulate
Yeah.
for
Yeah, 'cause
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. So I'm like, at least with some of these other shows like Love is Blind or whatever, people are there. They zero in on one person, and they're like, even though it's a quick process, they're like, 3 weeks with just one person.
Right.
And this is not that. This is like I was tonguing down her yesterday, and today you and I are forever. It's like a very odd thing, but excited to see who he chooses. My money is on Latia, but
Absolutely.
we'll see
Yeah.
what happens. This
Yeah,
one's a
so
wrap.
that is it, yeah. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for our next recaps. We do have group chats going for The Bachelor and Love is Blind, so if you would like to join any of those, just make sure you DM us on Instagram at Black Girls Talking TV, and we can get you in there because the chats are going live and they are good.
Yes, yeah.
Um, yeah, but other than that, again, we are Black Girls Talking TV, and we will see you next time.
All right,
Bye.
bye.